Welcome everyone, for everybody just coming in right now. My name is Dan from Dan's Test Prep, and this is Tutor Tuesday, where I go over some digital SAT practice questions. This is going to be especially important now that the paper SAT is gone for good, I believe, unless you have certain accommodations. You're going to be taking a digital test. So, what we should do is cover some digital SAT questions. All right. All right. You all ready? Paper SAT? Yeah, well, so your last chance to take the paper SAT was December 2nd. So that's gone. Anyways, I've got a series of questions for you guys today. First one is one that a lot of people missed in a Discord today. I think only about 15% of people got this one right. So, for this one, yeah, a lot of people said B, but the answer to this one is not B. Let's take a look why. So we're asked to deliver no more than 300 pounds in a shipment. We're buying detergent and fabric softener. We can have no more than 300 pounds of detergent and fabric softener, where detergent weighs 7.35 pounds and fabric softener weighs 6.2 pounds. So of course we're gonna have 7.35 D plus 6.2 S is less than or equal to 300. All right. Okay, so we can rule out C and D for that reason, because those weights don't match up. And the other thing is we just need to figure out what this last inequality is. So it says here D is the number of containers of detergent. When we want to buy at least twice as many containers of detergent as containers of fabric softener. That means the number of containers of detergent should be at least, so let's mark this, number of detergent should be at least twice the number of fabric softener. And that's what really confuses people, is they'll put down this one because they think they want double the detergent. But this is actually limiting your detergent. You can verify that by plugging in some numbers. And so really the correct answer for this one should be answer choice A. All right, we got a few more math questions up here. Let's do this next one. It says each year the value of an investment increases by 0.49% of its value the previous year. Which of the following functions best models how the value of the investment changes over time? So if it's increasing by a certain percentage of the value each year, then the next year the value is going to be larger, and so the same percentage is actually going to be a larger nominal amount. And so if the investment is increasing percentage-wise year over year, that means it's going to grow exponentially. You could, if you want, plug in some numbers to verify this. It's not going to be linear. It's going to be exponential. This next one's honestly not too bad. It's asking which of the following is equivalent to the expression above. And we're given a quadratic in a standard form versus a quadratic in vertex form. Well, I mean, one thing there's multiple ways you can do this. I guess one thing you could do is probably complete the square. So option one would be to complete the square, which would let you keep this in like a vertex form. The way I would do that is I would separate out all the x parts, so x squared and 6x, and I also want to add another constant here to make this a perfect square. So I'll put a little blank right there, and then I'll leave the plus 4 that we had originally. Now maybe you guys can see what number we want to put in here to make this perfect square, but this number should be the coefficient on x, divide that by 2, and square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. Then when you actually uh, factor this, you get something like x squared plus, sorry, x plus 3 whole quantity squared plus 4. But the one thing I forgot to do when I completed the score is if I add a plus 9 right here, I also have to remember to add a minus 9 right here because we want to balance out the whole equation or expression. So this part ends up factoring to x plus 3 whole quantity squared. And then this part right here ends up simplifying to minus 5. So maybe you can see now that the answer for this one should be B. All right, let's go on to our next problem. This one tells us, okay, this one's dealing with frequency tables. Each of the following frequency tables represents a data set. Which data set has the greatest mean? Hey, Oliver. Nice job on the question today. Data set, which one has the greatest mean? Okay, we don't actually have to calculate the mean out for all of these data sets. I'm going to show you why. I'm gonna draw out the shapes of all of these distributions. For example, this first data set is going to look something like this. This second one is going to look something like 70, 80, 90, 100. It's going to look something like this. Sure, let me send the question in the chat for you guys. The third data set is going to look something like this. And the fourth one is going to look something like this. I mean, just visually, you can kind of see the mean is going to be highest in case A. The mean is going to be skewed somewhere to like the right side because of all these. There's very few values that are actually really low, and there's a lot of values that are very high. The mean here would be right in the center, the mean here would be right in the center, and the mean here would be right in the center. They're all symmetrical, except for this one has the highest mean because it's skewed most towards the largest numbers. All right. Next few questions are going to be reading questions because we got to study our reading and grammar for the SAT. This one's a new interesting type of question that we see in the digital SAT where we get a student's notes and then we have to do something with those notes. In this case, we want to emphasize a similarity between two paintings. and use relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal. Honestly, this one is simple enough that you don't even need to look at the notes. But I'll go back and forth anyways. For something like A doesn't establish a similarity. There's actually a difference here. So I'd rule that one out. B also emphasizes a difference, so that doesn't really make any sense. If we say C, they are both huge, well, that's definitely showing a comparison. So C would be the best choice here. And then something like D, they are, again, showing off a difference. Really, the only one that shows a similarity is C, and you can see that in the notes as well. Oh, I gotta remember to send some of these questions. This one is a standard English conventions. So it says, using satellite remote sensing, Dr. Catherine Nakalembi, director of NASA's Harvest Africa initiative, gathers important data on crop health. Nakalembi's doesn't just compile the blank, she also shares her findings with African farmers, enabling them to make data-driven decisions about managing critical food crops. Okay, right now, right here, I know that I'm going to need a full stop. We need some kind of full stop because it wouldn't make sense if we just put commas. It would be a run-on sentence because we have a subject right here. We have another subject right here. So we need to have some kind of uh, full stop, like a semicolon. So we rule out B, D. Between A and C, yep, A is going to be the best choice. The though should go with the first segment of the sentence, not the second one. So it's A. Yep. All right, here's another reading question. It says, some bird species don't raise their own chicks. Instead, adult females lay their eggs in other nests next to another bird species' own eggs. Female cuckoos have been seen quickly laying eggs in the nests of other bird species when those birds are out looking for food. After the eggs hatch, the non-cuckoo parents will typically raise the cuckoo chicks as if they were their own offspring, even if the cuckoos look very different from the other chicks. Okay, and we're asked about the underlined sentence as a whole. Yeah, let me send that real quick. So this underlined sentence, it seems like it's elaborating upon something that I just saw explained right here. So it introduces a physical feature of female cuckoos. No, I don't think so. It's more like a behavioral thing. The appearance of cuckoo nests. No, it's not the cuckoo nests. It's about other bird species nests. It offers a detail about how female cuckoos carry out the behavior discussed in the text. Yes, definitely C. It explains how the other birds react. No, that was the next sentence. So process of elimination leads us to answer choice C for this one. All right, see what we got next. All right, this reading question is actually a little bit tricky. Just because it's a little bit harder to read, or it's got some flowery language. But honestly, still not too bad. I'll show you guys how to work through it. It says, based on the text, what challenge do humans sometimes experience? Well, I guess let's read this poem. It's called Thoughts in a Zoo. They in their cruel traps, we in ours, survey each other's rage and pass the hours, commiserating each the other's woe, to mitigate his own pain's fiery glow. Man could but little proffer in exchange, save that his cages have a larger range. That lion with his lordly untamed heart has in some man his human counterpart. Some lofty soul in dreams and visions wrapped, within the stifling flesh securely trapped. Yeah, that's pretty wordy, but I see we got an answer in the chat already. And it is going to be D, because especially this last part of the poem is telling me, humans have lofty dreams, but the flesh is stifling and we're trapped. So it seems like we're limited to doing some things. We have certain aspirations and dreams that we cannot fulfill because of certain limitations. That's what we see, especially in that last part. All right, let's move on to the next question. I'm going back to the math questions now for you guys. This one's actually a little bit tricky. It says Alan drives an average of 100 miles each week. His car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon of gasoline. That's important. Alan would like to reduce his weekly expenditure on gasoline by $5. Assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles, M, he should drive each week? Okay, right away I can tell you guys the 100 miles each week is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. Actually, if it's already included here, how many fewer average miles? Fewer average miles, M. So we can directly set that equal to what we want to solve. Let's say we have M, let's do it like this. Say we have M miles. That's what we're trying to solve for. And I'm going to keep all the units for my stuff here. So M is in miles. We want to save $5 by driving M fewer miles. We have 25 miles per gallon of gasoline, and we have gasoline is $4 per gallon. Well, the end goal is to save $5, right? So let me set that as the right side of our equation, $5. And then everything else, basically, we have to use like this, this, and this to somehow equate to that $5, saving $5. Well, of course, I'm going to have the $4 per gallon on the top, $4 per gallon, because I need the dollars and the dollars to be the same both in the numerator. Then I'm going to multiply that by this unit, 25 miles per gallon, but instead I'm going to flip this to be 1 gallon every 25 miles, because of course we want the units of gallons to cancel out here. And the last thing, if I select, make some space for this, the last thing we haven't used yet is the M miles. So I'll just put in M miles. And that'll cancel out my units of miles. So the whole thing ends up being 4 over 25 M equals 5. And the only units left are dollars and dollars, which is answer choice D. Not too bad. Okay. All right. Next one. Next one is a table question. Table below shows the distribution of U.S. states according to whether they have a state-level sales tax and a state-level income tax. To the nearest tenth of a percent, What percent of states with a state level sales tax do not have a state level income tax? I'm going to color code this, you'll see why. So the prior information that's given is that these states have a state level sales tax, which automatically narrows down our, our selection to only considering this column. And of that, we want to know how many do not have a state level income tax. That would be this no column or no row. So really the answer for this one is going to be 6 out of, what is it, guys? 39 plus 6. We have 45 to choose from. And then we're selecting 6 out of that 45. And this is going to round to about 13.3% if we're taking nearest tenth of a percent. Not bad. All right, I'll let you ponder that for a second. Or no, actually, take a second to read this question. This one's a pretty nice question. Okay, it's asking which of the following statements must be true. We have this equation 9x plus 5 is equal to a times x plus b. Now let me just expand that out real quick. So 9x plus 5, that's the same thing as ax plus ab. And from here, oh, we know that a must equal 9 if there's no solutions. No solutions. So if there's no solutions, we have the same slope, but we have different y-intercepts. So let me just rewrite this equation real quick. 9x plus 5 is equal to 9x plus 9b. That means the slope, the only thing that we have as a restriction on the intercept is that b cannot, or this term, this constant term cannot be equal to 5, or 9b cannot be equal to 5. If we solve that condition as well, we get b cannot be equal to 5 over 9. So, and point number 1 and point number 3 are true. 2, I mean, b could really be anything as long as it's not 5/9. So that would just be answer choice D, where 1 and 3 are both true. Let's do this next one. And then I see we got some questions in the chat. I'll actually go and add those in right now. Let's do this next one together. Oh, okay. Dang, that was quick. That was quick. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. So x square root of x to the 5th is x to the 5 halves. And then the cube root of x to the 4th is x to the 4 thirds. That's equal to x to a over b. But of course, we have this exponent rule that if we're dividing something that has the same base, we could subtract the exponents. So this is really just equal to x to the 5 halves minus 4 thirds, which if we get a common denominator, that's the same thing as x to the 15 sixths minus 8 sixths, which is equal to x to the 7 sixths. So if we're comparing that to a over b and 7 over 6, a over b has to equal 7 over 6. That one's very quick as long as you know your exponent rules. All right, what we got next? 29. So this one I know is from the SAT. It's got that format. It's saying which of the following equivalent forms of the given function f displays as the base or the coefficient, the y-coordinate of the y-intercept of the graph. Oh, that's really lengthy. Basically, we want to display the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. Well, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is going to be when x equals 0, so that's going to be f of 0 is equal to 3 to negative 2, 0 plus 1. That's the same thing as 3 to negative 2, which is 1 over 3 squared, or 1 over 9. And so the only answer choice I see that has the 1 over 9 is going to be answer choice B. And it looks like they flipped the 3 to negative power to 1/3 with a positive power. And yeah, looks like that's equivalent. Okay. Next question. This one looks interesting. I don't know if it's SAT exactly, but um, we can do it together. If r is s plus a half, which of the following is true? R is equal to s plus 1/2. Well, I guess I could start plugging some stuff in. So like x s plus a half is equal to 4x minus 9. Now we could simplify that further. That's going to give us, I guess we could subtract x on both sides and um, add 9. So that's going to be something like, or let me just do one step at a time. So s plus a half is equal to 3x minus 9. We got to this point. I know that I'm going to try to relate x and y, right? So here, I can solve this equation for s as well. And give me s is equal to 3y minus 9. And then I can substitute that back in both of these to get something like 3y minus 9 plus a half is equal to 3x minus 9. Minus 9s will really cancel, so it's 3y plus a half is equal to 3x. And everything's asking for x in terms of y. So let's divide everything by 3 first to get y plus 1/6 is equal to x. And there we should have our answer, which is x is y plus 1/6. A nice little substitution problem. And I think we've got a spot for maybe like one more question. Oh, perfect. That'll be our last one. Thank you for submission. Yeah, we really breezed through all those questions. Okay, so This one says the angles above are acute and sine of A is equal to cosine of B. Yeah, I've seen this trick on the SAT before, so if you recognize what they're doing here, it becomes pretty solvable. What they're doing is really exploiting the fact that complementary acute angles with complementary acute angles, so something like if you have A plus B is equal to 90 degrees, then the sine of one angle is equal to the cosine of the other angle. Very tricky little thing that they put on some SAT questions. But, if the sine of this angle is equal to the cosine of this one, that means that they add up to 90. Then that actually gives us the information we need to solve, because without this, we wouldn't be able to solve this question. We have A plus B equals 90, and just substituting in those definitions, we get 4k minus 22 plus 6k minus 13 equals 90. So 10k minus 35 equals 90. So 10k equals 55, or k equals 5.5. This is good to know for the SAT for sure. Anyways, that was a pretty quick session. That's my last question for you guys. If you want to check out my other socials, I have explore.dancetestprep.com page, and I post all my Tutor Tuesday recordings, and I have some other social medias and stuff that you can follow. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.